Tomorrow on the main show, I'll be hosting the second hour.
I love that you host the second hour as much as you do, but I wish we could do the first hour together every
I
once in a while.
know, I know.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, it's we always miss each other, but
I know. You need to start to be really bad at presenting so they
sure.
stop having you do that, and then you can go to the first hour.
Sure,
So
sure,
work on
sure,
it.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Tomorrow we'll be here. We're gonna be ending the week with Brett. So go to the post tab, vote for your garbage person and hero of the week. And also in 34 minutes, we're gonna be doing our members hangout. So I hope to see many of you there. For now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Ritchie. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day with me, none other than Mr. Elliot Morgan. Always fascinating to have his brilliant analysis on the program. Top story of the day, believe it or not, police believe they can get away with crimes. I know that's a shock. A particular police decided to kill a black male and thought he would get away with doing so. Put it up full mass. This story is more than disturbing. I'm taking you to the state of Georgia. Christopher Bradshaw, a high-ranking, award-winning cop killed Mr. Terrell Loudermilk in a hit-and-run crash on an interstate last week. Bradshaw, the award-winning, highly ranked cop, fled the scene after allegedly striking and killing Mr. Loudermilk, who was standing on the side of the road, simply exchanging information with another driver. He was involved in a minor fender bender, doing what he is supposed to do, which is to responsibly share information, insurance, etc. Bradshaw was a member of the Milton Police Department. The incident took place at about 2:30 a.m., August 13th, while Mr. Loudermilk, a 36-year-old commercial truck driver, was exchanging insurance information with another tractor trailer. This driver, with another tractor trailer driver on an exit ramp on Interstate 75. This was a minor fender bender, according to the local media when they reported it. The vehicle that struck Loudermilk was identified as a 2020 Chevrolet Silverado, which are very common trucks in the state of Georgia. Bradshaw ended up arrested 2 days later after the Marietta Police Department tracked him down. Investigators connected to Bradshaw to the crash. They connected Bradshaw to the crash through debris from his truck that carried traceable serial numbers, according to Fox 5 Atlanta. Bradshaw was also fired from the Milton Police Department that Monday, ending a 14-year career where he was a celebrated cop. He was on the department's Facebook page as a top-notch investigator and won awards for solving cases, earning promotions, etc. Now, there's more to this story, but I want to pause just for a moment to highlight that Officer Bradshaw was, according to the police department, the best among them. The best. He was the guy that you put on the front of your Facebook page and you talk about how amazing his capabilities are. Here's the problem with that. Here's the problem. Does it mean that he could investigate a case? Probably could. But being a police officer is not simply about investigative prowess. It is also about moral and ethical aptitude. And if you don't have both, you can't be an effective public servant and an effective peace officer at the same time. So, highly decorated. The 48-year-old former cop is now facing felony charges for homicide by vehicle, hit and run resulting in serious injury or death. Remains in jail as of this writing with no bond. That's according to the Cobb County Sheriff's Department. Bradshaw was off duty at the time. Remember, 2:30 a.m. He was off duty at the time and was perhaps, according to the narrative, under the influence. But that will be impossible to now prove because, well, he was arrested 2 days later. That's why. But the charges he is facing can send him to prison for 15 years if convicted. That's according to Georgia state law. It's very sad that this happened. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with the victim's family. And the officer who did this, I believe, personal opinion, that he was under the influence of something. And the irony is the fact that they can't prove that he was under the influence, he likely may actually get overall a lighter sentence because now you have a straightforward hit and run accident. Hell, he may even argue that he was in the right and got scared and left. Ironically, that defense has worked for cops in the past. Ironically, uh, put it up full mass. We want to help the Loudermilk family. Mr. Loudermilk's death obviously has left his family devastated. Uh, they have had to launch a GoFundMe account to raise money just to give the brother a proper home going. Okay. We want to help his mother. His mother's name is Cindy Hayes. Miss Hayes, we want to help you. This is an unimaginable loss. So the link to the GoFundMe will also be included in the description of this segment. We ask that you go to help us honor Terrell Loudermilk's life and do the very best you can. I appreciate you in advance. Dear brother, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, it's absolutely tragic. I think it's also incredibly ironic that this guy was doing exactly what you're supposed to do in that kind of situation. And he was following the law and he was getting out and he was exchanging insurance information. And it was the police officer who chose not to do that. I think you're absolutely right that he was very likely, potentially, maybe intoxicated, because it seems like something that would go through someone's head in that state of mind to go, oh, well, I'll just get out of here and wait a couple days, sober up, so at least they can't get me on that. I think it is excellent that he's actually been fired. I'm actually kind of surprised by that, because typically in this kind of situation, I feel like it would be more of a slap on the wrist than that. I'm sure he will probably, as you said, end up getting off a little bit. But as it stands, I'm happy to see some version of justice happening, and I hope their family gets all the support they need.
There you go. Well said. We'll bring updates as they come. If anyone is still arguing that the madman Netanyahu is somehow fighting a righteous, holy, godly fight, understand this. Their own military has said, yeah, so we're killing about 83% civilian. Put it up, full mass. We got to talk about this because they're playing in your face now. Israeli military's own data, their own data, not from any other third-party source trying to peep into the through the Iron Curtain, okay, through the Iron Wall they have. Their own military indicates a civilian death rate of 83% in the Gaza war. So the Guardian reports figures from classified IDF database listed 8,900 fighters as dead, probably dead in May, as overall death toll has now reached 53,000. I still think that number is wholly underreported. Figures from a classified Israeli military, this is an intelligence database, indicate 5 out of 6 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in Gaza have been civilians. An extreme rate of slaughter, rarely matched in any decades of warfare. As of May, 19 months into the war, which is a slaughter. Israeli intelligence officials listed 8,900 named fighters from Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad as dead or, quote, probably dead. A joint investigation by The Guardian, the Israeli-Palestinian publication, plus 972 magazine, and the Hebrew language outlet Local Call has found. At the time, 53,000 Palestinians had been killed by the Israeli attacks. That's according to health authorities in Gaza. A toll that included combatants and civilians. Fighters named in the Israeli military intelligence database accounted for just 17% of the total, which indicates that 83% of the dead were civilians. Among those civilians are babies, toddlers, pregnant women, elderly people, children. Average age, Gaza for a Palestinian, 19.1 years of age. Early on, the argument was made by Netanyahu and those that supported this extreme evil. Well, it's because terrorists are hiding behind the civilians And they just happen to be Palestinians. That was the argument. Some people fell for it. And that was the pretext to create the context in order to kill civilians and rank that killing as basically friendly fire. We weren't trying to get to them. We were trying to get to the people that were behind them, that they were hiding them off. Do you believe if Hamas was hiding in Israel that Netanyahu would indiscriminately kill Israeli citizens in order to get to Hamas? No. Why? That's right. Because he has more value for their life than he does for a 1-year-old infant in Gaza who happens to be Palestinian. That's why. That ratio of civilians to combatants among the dead is extremely high for modern wars in particular. So the graphic produced by Guardian Research includes a comparison with conflicts notorious for high civilian death rates. You see it there. Protesters in Israel have gathered to form a nationwide strike, demanding a ceasefire and release of hostages from Gaza. Here it is.
From the numbers of people we have seen on the streets and in the surrounding area, from the crowds we have tried to get through with some success because the streets are packed so densely, I think it's safe to say this is easily one of the largest, if not the largest protest we've seen against the war since it started nearly 2 years ago. And it came together only in the last week. Organizers from both hostage families as well as bereaved families from October 7th called for a grassroots nationwide strike today, and it has taken place throughout the entire day. There are hundreds, if not thousands, just around me right here, and the closer you get to Hostages Square, which is still a few hundred meters behind us, the more packed it gets. You may even be able to hear the noise from the chanting, the drums, the cheers, the chants from Hostages Square itself. And that gives you just a sense of how many people are here.
We've been reporting on the fact that Israeli citizens have been protesting actively and out loud against the madman Netanyahu. I don't want anyone to confuse the military war machine known as the Israeli military. It's the same as an Israeli citizen, no more than I would want anyone to assume that the American war machine is the same as Rashad Ritchie, because it's not. They have been protesting. As a matter of fact, soldiers and former soldiers signed a letter saying basically the man is out of control. Protesters, the day of stoppage, which blocked roads, it closed businesses, marked an escalation in the population's growing frustration after 22-month war. Police responding to Sunday's demonstrations blasted crowds with water cannons, made dozens of arrests. In one instance, officers stopped several protesters from trying to break into the central Ayalon highway in Tel Aviv, leading to a confrontation between them, during which a protester was forcibly arrested, CBS News learned. Police also confiscated the protesters' equipment. Protesters who fear further fighting could endanger the 50 hostages believed to remain in Gaza, only about 20 of whom are thought to be alive, chanted, quote, "We don't win a war over the bodies of hostages," end quote. Protesters gathered at dozens of points throughout Israel, including outside politicians' homes, military headquarters, and on major highways, where they were sprayed with water cannons as they blocked lanes and lit bonfires that cloaked roads in smoke. Some restaurants and theaters were closed in solidarity to the protest and the standing against Netanyahu. Police said they had arrested 32 as a part of the nationwide demonstration. One of the fiercest since the uproar over 6 hostages found dead in Gaza last September. So Israel is weighing a Hamas offer, 60-day Gaza truce and hostage release, according to the information. So the proposals include the release of 200 Palestinian convicts jailed in Israel and an unspecified number of imprisoned women and minors in return for 10 living and 18 deceased hostages from Gaza, according to the Hamas official. 2 Egyptian security forces confirmed those details and added that Hamas has requested the release of hundreds of Gaza detainees as well. Israel says a total of 50 hostages remain in Gaza, 20 of them still alive. Quote, Israel's policy is consistent and has not changed. Israel demands the release of all 50 hostages in accordance with the principles established by the cabinet for ending the war. We are in the final decisive stage of Hamas, and we're not leaving a hostage behind. And an Israeli political source said, we know this playbook. In America, we call it weapons of mass destruction. We got to find them, y'all. They're out there. But we will kill to get them. Saddam has them. Yes. Everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Kill. War. It's not even required. But they make you feel as if you don't have it, and if you don't agree with it, somehow you're going to lose. Lose what? Lose what? That's the narrative. It's a feeling narrative. It's indoctrination. You become immune to self-analyze your own belief system. So here we are. Damn near everybody they're killing is a civilian. We said that day one. Individuals who spoke out as elected officials and called it for what it is, well, Democrats got those Democrats out of office. And now, today, Benjamin Netanyahu has a criminal arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court. And just a few days ago, Trump called both him and Netanyahu war heroes. Once again, does this still feel like a democracy to you? All right, dear brother, thoughts?
I mean, it's just the level, the scope of how horrific this entire situation is. I honestly think is unfathomable, not just for me, but for like the vast majority of this country. And so I think a lot of folks will just sort of turn a blind eye because it is overwhelming to really contemplate how bad this situation is and how bad it has been from the beginning. And the people, as you've said, that have been calling this out, who have been sidelined or kicked out of office or arrested for protesting what's going on, is just, it's insane to me. I mean, you're talking about, I believe, from what I understand, the highest amount of children amputees in modern history.
Right.
And it seems to me that people right now are waking up to the fact that this is a narrative that has been pushed. And I think you're always in some kind of a narrative, right? You're always in some kind of a story. And this story that they have been telling is breaking down. And I think that they're in some way, I mean, maybe this is me hoping for this more so than anything, but it seems to me, or at least I hope this is happening, that people are waking up to what's going on and recognizing that the propaganda that has been coming out of Israel for so long is just falling apart. And so their only, recourse is basically to panic and to arrest as many people as possible. And when all the protesters start getting arrested, that's usually a good sign that they're protesting something very valid. And hopefully people continue to keep waking up.
That's right. And you don't have enough jails to house them all. You don't have enough water to hose them all. And that's the reality of genuine protest inside of a nation. Okay, we'll bring you updates as they continue to develop. I'm taking you to the state of Florida. A road rager gets instant karma. It's hilarious. Here it is. Put it up for a mass. Yeah, I can see you didn't pay attention in physics class, sir. The internet personality Vincent Gale was being targeted by a car with two older, we'll say men, while driving through a major Florida roadway. Florida, okay? The road rage incident took place. It isn't rare, especially in Florida, but this was an immediate backfire. And the caption says, "Yes, I laughed." Well played, sir. So 2024 survey, this is information about road rage incidents. 2024 survey by dashcam company Nextbase found that a whopping 79% of all U.S. drivers have experienced aggressive driving, and the number of people shot by ill-tempered drivers has skyrocketed more than 400% since 2014. That's according to the Trace, an anti-gun violence website. And of course, naturally, bigotry, racism, and guns had nothing to do with any of this. All right. Your brother, thoughts here?
I mean, as a native of Florida, I can only say that that highway looks familiar, but they all do. I don't know if you've been there recently, but if you're passing by a Petco and a Walmart, you're pretty much in some part of Florida because they're kind of identical. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those situations where you go, it's beautiful to see. I mean, I don't know if this should be in the Smithsonian, but it's a work of art. The look on the guy's face, it's like he doesn't even quite realize that the coffee is even on his face yet, which is just an extra cherry on top. I also think in terms of that data, it just speaks to the fact that people right now are driving around with just balls of anger inside of them. And I don't know what to do about it, but I do believe it has something to do with where we're at as a country, because it feels collective and it feels like people are stressed out. I believe much of it is a result of economics, but it doesn't matter. It's also a result of, as you said, bigotry and racism. And when it starts playing out like this, it's just beautiful to see. I mean, I really do think someone should take a photo of it and frame it, because I would hang it in my office.
Yeah, that picture says so much. You can learn from that picture. All right. We got more on the other side. Indisputable, stick and stay.
I don't care if you're Christian. In fact, I will fight for you to have your religious liberty and practice your Christianity. I believe in that. I don't believe in Christianity, which means that you do not get to dictate the way I live my life based on your religion. I don't care what the Bible says. You have every right in the world. All those women who identify with your religion have every right in the world to not get an abortion, to not take birth control, but they do not have the right to dictate my life and what I decide to do with my body. I don't care about your goddamn religion. I'm so tired of having nonstop conversations about what the Bible says. You live your life in the way that you interpret the Bible. Again, I don't care, but you don't get to take the Bible and tell me, well, the Bible says this in this chapter, in this verse. I don't care. I don't care. I don't believe in it. And I have the right, based on our Constitution, to not believe in it.
Here I am, Nancy Pelosi, saying this country needs a strong Republican Party, and we do.
No one is representing what I call the silent majority, which is about 2/3 of this country, indisputably progressive.
But now we say the time has come for regime change in American television.
The Young Turks Network.
You have the Young Turks saying this is the time to fight for our values.
Young Turks is the oldest left media institution I believe that there is. Real front runner in the online media space.
You guys might know us.
Biggest online left of center outlet that exists.
All of you know the Young Turks.
People from this district heard about Justice Democrats by watching your show.
Thanks to the Young Turks for covering Trayvon Martin's case early on when few people were covered.
They don't stop, I won't stop. Racism won't stop, so I won't stop.
Species are at risk of going extinct. Major media outlets did not dedicate much time at all to that.
We reached a whole heap of people with our progressive message. We're not the Young Turks, you're the Young Turks.
300 million is a pretty good number, Well, that's the size of the US population. You know what our next target is? The size of the entire world.
We just crossed 5 billion views on YouTube.
I mean, imagine 10 years ago thinking, one day, we looked at you like, are you nuts?
Young Turks has just passed another milestone.
25 billion lifetime views. Damn. Too strong, way too strong. That's 25 billion times someone watched the Progressive Message delivered to people all over the world. You know who helped to do that? You guys did. Our members and our audience are amazing, and they helped us to reach 2 generations, both millennials and Gen Z. They're both super progressive. And I gotta tell you, we're just getting started. Thank you.
Corruption, injustice, the system is rigged against you. Every day we're blasted by a flurry of terrible news from every angle, which can make it challenging to stay positive and know how to fight back. The Damage Report is your solution. I'm Johnny DeRola, and my daily morning show cuts through the noise and exposes the real damage being done to our country, the world, and how we can fight back against it. Corporate greed crushing workers? We'll name names. Politicians selling you out for their corporate overlords? We've got the receipts. Climate disaster, economic collapse, the rise of fascism. No spin, no establishment talking points, just the truth that you need to survive and resist. But it's not all doom and gloom. We'd love to have you join the Dragon Squad, our community of positive-minded activists who turn the day's news into positive action. With new episodes every weekday, listen to The Damage Report to get honest news, unflinching commentary, and daring coverage you won't find anywhere else. Listen to The Damage Report on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, because understanding the damage is the first step.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. We got a lot of comments. I will read as many as I can. Very thankful for everyone joining the conversation. Okay. Fidel Castor Oil says the U.S. murder rate is going down at the same rate that police killings are going up. Off-duty cop. This is, I think, who stole the U-91101. Okay. Sounds like a guilty conscience to me, talking about the cop who fled. And Burn of the Kiwi Dragon 4382. I think it's likely underreported, talking about the numbers in Gaza, and I agree. And it's still over 80%. Correct. And that is right. Road Rager. So leg 3, Indy Killer 26 says, homie forgot how wind works. That's correct. That's right. Sure did. All right, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Have to!
William, can I talk to you?
That's going to give you some grace!
Tonight, a Democratic candidate for governor in South Carolina getting his airtime via police dash cam video. Personal injury attorney William Mullins McLeod heard loud and clear. This video of him shirtless in the back seat of a Charleston police cruiser is circulating online.
Well, let me tell you something. When I'm governor!
On Monday, McLeod announced his run for office.
And I'm running for governor for the reason that people should run for higher office. I have something to say.
On Tuesday, South Carolina's The Post and Courier newspaper published this video it obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request.
So somebody better come let me out right now. And take these shackles off these lily white hands.
The arrest happened on May 15th after McLeod was found wearing only underwear and shoes, and according to a police report, quote, yelling at the top of his lungs.
All right, sir, obviously you're having a bad night. Put it up full mass here. We have a long and involved story. Running for governor and literally said, when I become governor, I'm going to. Okay. Mail carrying attorney shouts racial slurs during an arrest and much more. So that is Mr. William Mullins McCloud, and he wants to represent you. He's running as a Democrat. His campaign is to become the next governor of South Carolina. He once represented victims of a racist shooting at a historic Black church. Later, in the back of the police vehicle, he yelled the N-word, as we had to bleep out. So Attorney McCloud's national reputation swelled under or after he represented the families of 3 victims at Emmanuel AME Church who were murdered by a white supremacist, Dylan Roof, in 2015. Remember that story. He also litigated the lawsuits brought by the families and survivors of the shooting that led to a historic $88 million settlement with the federal government, which was one of the most substantial civil rights settlements in the U.S. Now, obviously, there's going to be a significant connection between his legal advocacy and his, let's just say, bias, because a lot of his legal advocacy is connected to being adverse to racial bias. But I'll remind everyone, he's an attorney and they do get paid. So it's not as if he's some, volunteer. He's getting paid, okay? So McCloud also represented the family of a man who died in October 2019 after he was restrained by police officers in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and injected with ketamine by the county paramedics. Charleston County paid $1.1 million to settle the case after Mount Pleasant settled the wrongful death claims for $3 million. Okay, so the guy is not cash-strapped himself, but something happened. I'm taking you to 9:30 p.m., May 14th. Charleston police officers found the 53-year-old attorney randomly sitting on the sidewalk in just his underwear and shoes and yelling at the top of his lungs. He was quickly detained on a disorderly conduct charge. Okay, now I want to say this. What you do with your personal life is your decision, all right? You do that in some parts of the country, you'll be celebrated. You want to have a good time, let loose, make sure nobody judges you, that's on you. When you do it in a residential community or close by, you are now impacting the livelihood of other people, children included, okay? So in the dash cam video, this is after he's detained, and rightfully so. In the dash cam video obtained by the Post, Courier, and TMZ, Attorney McCloud refuses to tell the cops his real name, saying they can identify him as human or superhuman. Sir, 10 years ago, you and I would have been buddies. What in the hell are you on, sir? Human or superhuman? Can we put the picture back up, full mass? Sir, I stopped drinking 10 years ago. I haven't had a drink in 10 years because I didn't want to become like that one day. And if you got a problem, there is no shame in being authentically honest about it and getting the help you need. It is not an embarrassment to say, I need help. But when you find yourself in a situation like that, you probably should consider the notion. All right, so on the drive to jail, he shouts, quote, McCloud for governor. Can we go back to the picture? I understand, sir, you believe in yourself. And I commend you for that. In whatever situation, you're in, you believe in yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's when they realized your name, though, sir. You said McCloud for governor after refusing to give you information. If you would have withheld that, remained a John Doe, this thing may have blown over. I don't know. All right, so he yells McCloud for governor. Yeah, he's having a good time. Followed by a series of racial slurs, insults aimed at current and former politicians. He mentions current South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster, former Governor Nikki Haley, U.S. Representative Nancy Mace, President Donald Trump, and former President Barack Obama, ironically. And former South Carolina lawmaker, CNN commentator Bakari Sellers, who happens to be an attorney. He's a colleague of yours, sir. All right, but he reserves the more and the most derogatory remark for GOP political figures like Trump, who he calls a racist, A. He also calls Nikki Haley and Nancy Mace the B word multiple times. He also is heard using the N word, calling a man my effing N word. Okay. He's either human or superhuman according to his own proclamation. And in the police report, arresting officers noticed that his eyes were, quote, extremely bloodshot and highly dilated, and he was sweating profusely. Symptoms that are consistent with drug use, according to the report. It's unclear if he received a drug test or not. There's more footage captured the rest of his time in the patrol car. Here it is.
If this is going where I think it could be heading, I think I just figured out that the President of the United States is my cousin. Okay, so trust me, at this point, nothing is crazier than you and me either being related or you being not guilty. Okay, that's just the way my brain has been trained. Either you and me are related or you're not guilty. That's the only way to get from me in this police car.
You folks, Whitey ain't stupid, okay? At this point in the story, Whitey thought he was on the moon and Andrew Chisholm was Well, guess what? When I'm done, Andrew Chisholm, is gonna be on the moon. And Elon, I don't have to go any further. You ain't getting the Mars, you done. You know why? I don't know how many people are throwing out loud. I don't ever want $1 billion. Because you know what? If I had $1 billion, my stupid would try to do something like going to the moon.
I think that's cocaine logic. So I think you need to talk to your supplier. I think something happened here. All right. I wish you the best. Hope everything works out for you. And, if you need help, get it. Elliot, thoughts here?
I mean, he's got my vote. No, I often, one of the many criticisms I often have of the Democratic Party is that I have a theory that they love to lose elections, but this guy I think is taking it to just a whole new level. I think the Democrats typically are more subtle in the ways that they try to lose elections. This guy is going straight for the bottom. I'm wondering if Mel Gibson is his campaign manager. I don't know. I'm getting flashbacks of that whole debacle from years ago. Yep. I'm wondering, if he's just in his underwear and his shoes, what order did he put those on in? Because that could have been painful for him. Maybe that upset him. Jokes aside, I do hope he gets the help that he needs. But at the same time, you got to be somewhat entertained by just the idea of saying, hey, I might be cousins with the president. I don't know why. That's going to stick in my head, and I'll probably have dreams of it tonight.
Yeah, and something about going to the moon as well.
Yes. Exactly.
All right. We got more on the other side. Indisputable. Stick and stay.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Rich and powerful men abusing, assaulting, and abandoning young women. These rich and powerful men donate to the politicians in Washington, D.C., play golf with the elites in Washington, D.C. They are foreign leaders who we don't want to offend. They interact with our intelligence agencies that we don't want to disobey. There is something rotten in Washington.
And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
All those congressmen you just saw there are on the record as protecting the child rapists who were clients of Epstein. They have not prosecuted a single person outside of Epstein and Maxwell?
Yep.
Not one.
Is Trump engaging in this cover-up because he's in the Epstein files?
I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff.
So as the government keeps telling us, yeah, there's other people. Yeah, they raped those girls. So what? We're gonna cover up for them. But why are you guys so mad?
A nation that chooses impunity for the rich and the powerful at the expense of our children is a nation that has lost its moral purpose. Are you on the side of the people? Are you on the side of America's children? Or are you on the side of the rich and powerful who've had their thumb on the scales and shafted Americans for decades?
The rest of the news media says you should not fight for positive change. If you do, you're not really a reporter or a journalist, because reporters and journalists don't care what happens. I don't agree. That's not written anywhere. That's not a law. It's just a rule that they invented so that reporters didn't actually challenge the people that are in power. Well, we don't agree with that. We think we should challenge the people in power, that actually makes you a better journalist, not a worse one.
In a media landscape poisoned by corporate influence, only one show stands apart from the rest, The Young Turks. As the longest running daily news show on the internet, The Young Turks is an impactful voice of unfiltered truth, one you can trust to deliver the daily news with authenticity and honesty. For nearly 2 decades, TYT has been breaking the mold of media. We're not here to echo the powerful or the elite, we're here to challenge them. Our mission is to give you accurate news, fight the establishment, and cover stories that mainstream media keeps you in the dark about, which matter to your everyday life. We've remained a leader in online news because of our established credibility with an engaged audience looking for alternative media that represents the real concerns of everyday Americans. Listen to The Young Turks, a news show that only answers to you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
How do you know if you're a populist? Easy. Do you work for the donor class? You don't? Great, you're a populist. Okay, so the establishment takes money from the donors and serves the donors. A mainstream media takes money from advertisers, and they are giant corporations themselves, and they work for themselves, and they work for the powerful. If you care about the average person, and you want the average person to have better health care, better wages, a better life, and you hate corruption, congrats, you're a populist.
Welcome back. Always good to be with you. Okay, we got a lot of comments. I will read as many as I can. I think Ilkek, I was going to say this, but I was leaving it to you all because I knew it was coming. Says Rick James told us cocaine is a hell of a drug. That's right. Sure did. Warned everybody. And Neon Death 07, well, he done lost. I don't know. Turns Republican, gets Trump's endorsement. Anything goes now. We'll see. Nightmare 316. Wow, it's the rare dim Karen. Yeah. But they are rare. And I think this is this Leo Oju-sama? Thank you for that, by the way. Reference to Karen attorney. People should never mistake professional competence for being a good person. And yet, here we effing are over and over again. You got to distinguish. You do. It's like a cop who may be good at his job, but actually corrupt. Can investigate, figure things out, but he may also take some privileges too. That doesn't negate the other. You can't trade one for the other. All right, RJL Network says if he changes to Republican, he'll win. That's right. It's good. Man of all heart. And Trap House Jones 101 sent 5 indisputable memberships. Thank you so much for that. Greatly appreciate you. All right. Hell of a thing. What if I told you a teenager walking his dog, is detained by ICE agents with a full mask, just walking his dog? LA teenager, Benjamin Marcelo Guerrero Cruz, was supposed to be starting his senior year at Reseda Charter High this month. But just days after his 18th birthday, federal agents wearing masks detained him as he was walking his dog in the Los Angeles neighborhood of Van Nuys in what his family described as a kidnapping. The agents allowed his dog to just run loose and treated the teenager like a criminal and joked while arresting him, his family said in a GoFundMe description. Valerie, one of the neighbors, okay, who saw the teen in the unmarked truck before he was taken into custody, said during the Tuesday press conference, she told the downtown Los Angeles crowd she was walking her dog when she saw an unmarked SUV and multiple men who were wearing tactical vests and were either fully or partially masked. They were holding Guerrero Cruz's dog's leash, but soon after, Valerie approached one of the men, unclipped the dog's leash, and let it run off. She said, well, that creates a danger for people. These individuals are supposed to be there to protect and serve, right? Of course not. There's more. Educators and advocates. Educators and advocates held a rally to bring attention to the teenager's detention itself, demanding his release and call for answers from local officials, such as the Los Angeles Unified School District superintendent, about the unmarked vehicle in plain clothes, men wearing masks, who took him on the morning of August 8th. Alberto M. Carvalho, the LAUSD superintendent, said in a statement, quote, immigration enforcement near schools disrupts learning and creates anxiety that can last far beyond the school day. That is correct. The superintendent has said he is in communication with the teenager's mother, who has alleged that the child was being held with dozens of men, receiving water only once a day and insufficient food in a space that doesn't have enough room for everyone to sit or lie down at the same time. Many have reported filthy conditions, not having access to clean clothes and towels for days at a time inside the detention facility that the teenager is being held. There are laws against all of this. U.S. Senator Jon Ossoff, dear friend, has launched multiple investigations into the treatment of individuals who are detained, especially in federal prisons and in federal custody. The conditions are more than deplorable. He called it a civil rights issue and a prevalent one. But because of how society will classify individuals who have some level of entanglement with law enforcement, it's not typically given the same amount of attention. But it should, because this is part of that, let's just call it what it is, extreme evil. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, said in a statement that Guerrero Cruz was being detained pending his removal from the U.S. Benjamin Guerrero Cruz, this is a quote, an illegal alien from Chile, according to their statement, overstayed his visa by more than 2 years, abused in a visa waiver program under which he entered the United States, which required him to depart the United States March 15, 2023. The agency says, once again, another overstayed visa violation. Used to be a paperwork dynamic, right? Used to be a thing where, okay, what's an overstayed visa? I've had Republicans come on my show to argue a point about Canadians. When I posed the question, why are we not rounding up Canadians who for multiple years were the #1 violators of overstay visas in the United States of America? That's in the data. The response from Republicans, well, we already have their information. They came here legally. An overstay visa is basically just a paperwork issue. Okay. Why are we still seeing brown folk being arrested under that law and not the ones who are the #1 violators? Well, see, the answer is what it is. That's not who the narrative is against. It's not about the law. It's about their selective opportunity to utilize it. Prosecutorial discretion is at play. So when you get caught up in their laws, you're already losing because their laws were not written for you to win. It was written for their power. And anytime we can start thinking that what's legal is always right and what they deem as illegal is always wrong, you would have never had a Rosa Parks. You would have never had a Dr. King. You would have never had a Joseph Lowery. You would have never had these individuals who stood up against laws that they judged to be immoral, unethical, and not qualified to govern them. So here we are. Individuals jumping out with masks on, putting children inside of vans in a school district, and who has to speak up? Not the police chief, not the governor, but the superintendent of damn schools. Put up the GoFundMe. We want to help. The family started a GoFundMe account to pay for the unimaginable legal services required, immigration fees to fight for his return to help him rebuild his life if deported. The link to the GoFundMe will be included in the description of this segment. Help support a family in crisis after ICE detention. I ask that you do the best you can do with that. Meanwhile, a TikToker who posted anti-ICE videos about ICE got arrested by ICE. Here it is.
This video shows a Colombian TikToker being yanked out of her Tesla by ICE agents during an arrest. Tatiana Martinez was streaming on the app when agents approached her car in Los Angeles. An official from the Department of Homeland Security said in a statement that she was detained because of a prior DUI conviction, adding that Martinez came to the U.S. in 2022 and was, quote, released by the Biden administration. Martinez gained a following on TikTok after posting videos documenting ICE raids under President Trump, with videos advising people on what they should do if stopped by agents. She's being held in a facility near the Mexican border, and it's not clear if she has an attorney.
Because of a DUI some years back. Definitely the worst amongst us, right? It's insane, isn't it? We know good and damn well why she was targeted. Put her up full mask. Colombian TikToker, Tatiana Martinez, gained followers on TikTok after she posted videos documenting the Immigration and Customs Enforcement raids under Donald Trump. Newsweek reported this. She also shared guidance about what people should do to retain their rights during an ICE interaction. Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement that Martinez was detained because of a previous conviction of driving under the influence in Los Angeles. According to the spokesperson, Ms. Martinez came to the United States in 2022 and, quote, was released by the Biden administration. The spokesperson said that as agents were detaining Martinez, another person unlawfully towed a government police vehicle. He mocked and videotaped ICE officers chasing after him. Secretary Kristi Noem has been clear. Anyone who seeks to impede law enforcement will be found and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Yeah. A few, but not many, a few MAGA people wanted this kind of extremism, but not the majority of you. I didn't hear you say it. And if you do, or if you did want this, proclaim it. Don't make excuses for Trump. Don't say it's the agency and not the administration. Go ahead and tell the damn truth. And if you don't want it, say that too. Whatever it is, do this. Be true to thyself, and to thyself be true. Whatever it is, whatever you believe, say it. Stand on that belief. Homeland Security, put it up. When reacting to a headline from Newsweek about the arrest said on X, now this is them responding to a social media narrative story. You bet we did, Newsweek. Lady Tatiana Mafia Martinez is a criminal illegal alien from Colombia who was convicted for driving under the influence in Los Angeles. Martinez entered the country in 2022 and was released by the Biden administration under President Trump and Secretary Noem. If you break the law, you will face the consequences. Here's the thing. So while they're trying to spin a narrative that somehow having a DUI arrest a few years back that makes you a criminal, look at the stats. If a person is going to get arrested in the United States of America for anything, the overwhelming likelihood of what that arrest will be is for a DUI. It happened. So now the narrative is, if you've ever got a DUI, well, damn getting a DUI, if you have ever done the thing to get a DUI and didn't get caught, you are, in fact, according to this narrative, you're a hardened criminal. You see, if they can make the narrative fit successfully to them, to others, what makes you think it won't fit for you? Always say something when they come knocking on your neighbor's door, because you're going to need your neighbor when they come knocking on yours. All right. Thoughts, dear brother?
I mean, I agree entirely. I think it seems like every day we're seeing new ramifications of what this administration is doing, specifically with ICE, and none of them are good. I mean, with this first gentleman you brought up, it's like, okay, so he has an expired visa, so I guess we can go ahead and ruin his life and give him trauma that he'll have to deal with for the remainder of his days. Also, I mean, even just the small thing of letting the dog off the leash just kind of blows my mind, especially in LA. That is a legitimately dangerous thing to do. I know that might sound like a small thing in comparison with how horrible all of these other situations are, but it goes to show that this isn't thought out. These guys don't know what they're doing. They're doing whatever comes to the top of their mind. And I think the conditions that these people are being held in it's intended, I think, to make them not pursue due process and not pursue getting a lawyer, because they essentially make it so bad. I mean, I've heard about this in the Alligator Alcatraz situation, where people there are so horrendously treated that they would rather be sent back to the streets of another country than to continue being there, because it's just not worth it. And so I think the cruelty is the point, and I hope that these GoFundMes do become funded, because we need to make it easier for these people to stick up for themselves and have some kind of route to justice.
That's right. As long as we don't allow them to break our spirits, we win. As long as they don't break our will to do right and stand up for what is right to do, as long as we are still here in both presence and protest, we will win. Don't forget that. All right, we got more on the other side. Indisputable, stick and stay. Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier, and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either. All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. We have a lot of comments. I will read as many as I can. Love 18 White Girl says ICE is basically a kidnapping agency. Also says Trump's America is illegalizing dark skin and speaking foreign language. That's correct. Neon Death 07, if we don't have a reckoning, the ICE agent, we deserve to be shamed by the world. And I think this is Tanika Michael Briva. I apologize if I got that wrong. There are a lot of people from Greece here too with no papers. No one talks about that. There you go. All right, we have an update. State of Texas, they did pass those illegal redistricting maps we've been talking about, all because Donald Trump told them to. Let's put up the flag of Texas, full mast. Look at that. Under that banner, that flag for the state of Texas, Texas House Republicans successfully gerrymandered congressional districts that would now give Republicans more congressional seats. All of this is completely illegal, unethical, immoral, unconscionable, but it is here. After State House Democrats returned to the state of Texas after fleeing to block quorum, which is a permissible thing when you have nothing else. Republicans in the House have now successfully passed their new gerrymandered maps. The current congressional map is composed of 25 Republicans, 12 Democrats, and 1 vacated seat due to a death. This is despite Biden and Harris both receiving well over 40% of the vote in 2020 and in 2024. Under the new map, Trump demanded there would likely be 30 Republicans and 8 Democrats. President Trump, in a Truth Social post late Wednesday, said the new map was a, quote, big win for Texas. What? There's no election yet. What do you mean big win? We have a democracy, sir. No, it's a big win for Texas because they manipulated the vote prior to the election. That's how he does it, okay? Everything passed on our way to 5 more congressional seats, saving our rights, your freedoms, and your country itself. He said, quote, Texas never lets us down. Florida, Indiana, and others are looking to do the same thing. That's right, pass illegal maps. Put them up. So after leaving the state for 2 weeks, House Democrats returned and plan to challenge the new congressional map in court. The proposal amounts to, quote, an illegal and racially discriminatory map that, quote, surgically strips away minority representation in the U.S. Congress, end quote, said Representative State Rep Chris Turner. Quote, this is Texas, not Washington, D.C. The impulses of outside politicians and their billionaire backers should not dictate what we do in this house, end quote. Quote, you want transparency? The underlying goal of this redistricting is to improve Republican political performance, okay? And that was a bill author, State Rep Todd Hunter, said this on Wednesday. It's interesting that only the Democrats are talking up for Texas. You don't find it ironic, Texas? Only the Democrats are saying Texas first, while the Republicans are saying Trump first, his backers, and then those that back the backers, then us, and then Texas. Damn shame. All right, Elliot, obviously this narrative is going to continue in other states. They always use one state as a proxy, and then you see it happen in more states to come.
Absolutely. I have my fingers crossed, though I'm not entirely hopeful that California will make good on their promises to kind of do the same thing. It is politics. I mean, I don't think gerrymandering is good across the board. I know that both parties have done it, but one party in particular really, really loves doing it. And they love doing it in a way that, as they themselves admit, favors themselves politically. I think that if they're going to redraw the maps, then they should also redraw the flag and stop having all of these evenly spaced colors, start showing the red kind of bleeding over into the blue. Maybe you could use some spray paint or something. I don't think that'll go over well with a lot of Texans, but at least it would accurately reflect what they're doing, which is to essentially cheat and make it so that minority voices aren't heard and that Democratic voices aren't heard, so that they can pick their voters rather than having the voters pick their politicians. And it's gross. And I don't think any American citizen is actually for it, unless you are so stuck in this sort of tribal thinking that all you really care about is making sure that your team wins over the other one. I think that there should be a national effort put in place, a national committee that decides these things, so that we can't see our populace consistently get manipulated in order to serve particular political parties. But who knows if that'll ever happen.
Yeah, and man, when this first went down and I heard the Democrats giving their response on the other side, I have mixed feelings politically, while morally I'm clear. Morally, you shouldn't do it. You just shouldn't do it, because if we determine that it's corrupt for them to do it, for the other side that said it's corrupt to do it, that means, well, you got to engage in corruption yourself. With that being said, the threat of it may create some level of negotiation. You know, the Constitution just wasn't written for a guy like Trump. And on day one, when Biden got elected, I said on day one, you all have got to change these damn laws as it relates to democracy itself, because if this cat or anybody like him, if they ever get back in office, they're going to push it to the limit. And this is where we are. All right. So anyway, we'll keep you updated as the story develops. We got more on the other side. Indisputable. Stick and stay. Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier, and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reformed, so I won't stop. You won't stop either. All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. We got a lot of comments. I will read as many as I can. Love AT White says, Republican, you're not allowed to vote for anyone but us. That's right. That's it. It's quite insane. Y'all let a billionaire from New York do this. It's Texas. Okay. Rad Rocket. This is all hilarious since Texas is majority blue in reality. They're outnumbered, but refuse to act like it. I believe that. I believe that because my daughter is in college in Texas and I can see it. I'm like, where is this number in the voting? But you're right. I agree 100%. The America Needs Reboot says Democrats are indemnified to retaliate with gerrymandering. It's not physical, but this is a war, whether gerrymandering is frowned upon or not. It's frowned upon, just like warriors, hopefully. All right, so we got an update. Target CEO, as I predicted, he's gone. Remember, Pastor Jamal Bryant, we talked about it. We had an event in Atlanta that included Senator Nina Turner and others. I hosted that event. Pastor Jamal Bryant called for this economic withdrawal in order to prove a point of actual diversity is good for your company, not bad, regardless of what Trump and his cronies may ever say. Here it is.
Think the new CEO is going to change company culture or steer the company in a different direction?
I think we're looking at the moving of peanut shells in Central Park. Is really nothing different about the ideology or their stance on DEI. It's really smoke and mirrors. I am anxious and zealous to see if the new CEO will be open to a meeting so that we can discuss what are the 4 things that we're asking for. But just moving the COO to the CEO is really stylish, but it has no substance.
Does your boycott continue with this news?
Oh, no, we are full steam ahead until those 4 things that we've asked for. Black people spend upwards of $12 million a day. So we've asked for $250 million to be deposited in the black banks. We've asked for them to show record of the $2 billion they pledged to invest in the black communities, to partner with 6 HBCUs. And we gave them a blank canvas to reimagine DEI. None of which have they produced. And so, yes, we're staying away from Target until they step up to the plate.
Real quick, if you could talk to the new Target CEO today, what would you say?
I would say to him that it pays to give dignity where people are giving dollars. And by them losing almost 20% of their stock today with the change, it'd be less expensive and a less cost if they would just do right by humanity.
Jamal Bryant, pastor extraordinaire, he's correct. He's correct on the ethical dynamic. We're talking about dignity. He's correct on the economic element. The boycott is simply economic withdrawal. And here's what else will happen. You see, when people economically withdraw and they remain withdrawn for, let's say, a year or two, well, now you have a new consumer habit. In other words, Target, your consumer behavior model is shifting in front of you. Those folks may never come back if you don't get this right. The boycott or the withdrawal was not from the CEO. It was from the company, Target, because of their policies. And as I said, to the CEO had to step down. Let's put him up full mask because he tried to do the workaround. He went and gave money to black preachers and to black denominations. And yes, I told you, sir, I said none of that's going to work because none of those individuals called for the protest. None of them. So you avoided the grassroots campaign. You avoided the 4 or 5 people who actually created the committee. Senator Nina Turner, their sister, comes to the show once a week, was on that committee, very reasonable. And they gave you a blank canvas for DEI, which simply means you didn't even have to call it DEI. They gave you a blank canvas to figure out how to make this work. And you chose to lose money, give money, and resign rather than do one thing, give black folk the dignity they deserve in contracting, vendor relationships, and consumerism. That's a damn shame. You'd rather lose all of that than win. All right. So in an update, Brian Cornell is stepping down from his role as CEO of Target. Their sales have been declining steadily. New cost from tariffs, that's Trump, and obviously the economic withdrawal, reversal on DEI policies is to blame for this. There was no mandate for Target to do a reversal. They just decided to go with it. They didn't challenge it. Trump said some fancy, non-enforceable words, and all of a sudden, everybody got rid of DEI. The news of the resignation was reported by CNN, noting that his, quote, departure was wildly expected. His successor, effective on the 1st of the new year, 2026, will be the current chief operating officer, Mr. Michael Fedek, who has been with Target for 20 years. He's a culture guy for Target. Initially started as an intern, has been there a long time. Cornell will remain as Target as executive chairman. So once again, as Pastor Jamal Bryant said, they're just kind of moving things around a little bit, okay? Jemele Hill, who was with us in Atlanta when we talked about this, we were live streaming on Roland Martin. Jemele Hill reacted online, writing, quote, unless Target is publicly prepared to walk back what it did, he's going to meet the same fate as the last CEO. Why was it easy for me to predict that the CEO is going to be gone? Well, because he's an expression of the board. The board, those are your money guys. They're looking at bottom line. They're looking at who can actually. So let me do this. I'm not talking to the current CEO, the incoming CEO. I'm going to talk to the board. You all are going to keep losing money. You're going to keep losing money, and Target is going to end up becoming bankrupt if something doesn't change. Now, they may make you feel as if they have it under control and they know this person or that person, or they can give money to this black group or that black group. None of that will work today. None of it. Not a bit of it. So if you want to keep your precious, yachts, and you don't want to be in this situation again with your new CEO, you don't want your sales to decline even further, tell the new CEO he needs to have a meeting with somebody, a few somebodies, and start there. But when you all can't have a conversation, everybody who Dr. King said we need to meet, they will meet with them. And guess what? They were bigoted and racist and hateful and evil, but they had those meetings. So you telling me that you all are worse than them? All right. Ben Crump, attorney Ben Crump, good friend, wrote, Target CEO stepping down amid falling sales and backlash over scaling back DEI initiatives. When corporations abandon equity to align with political pressure, the people respond. We must continue to hold these companies accountable. That's right. You don't have to love me, but you got to respect me. Okay, we're not buddies, but I got green dollars. Respect the fact that we do commerce together. Make sure that you have vendor relationships that are comparable to the consumers of your company. It's only fair. This ex-user wrote, quote, y'all sat on this app and attempted to shame black folks for participating in the Target boycott because it, quote, wouldn't work. Meanwhile, the CEO is stepping down and the company has lost billions of dollars since the boycott. Another poster wrote, quote, it costs Target nothing to be inclusive, but it's costing them tons of dollars, market share, and the CEO has lost his job because they decided to reverse course on inclusiveness. Nicely done. The Tennessee Holler wrote, go anti-woke, go broke. Is that how the saying goes? Let's analyze one more time. Target they rather give money away. They rather lose money in record style. They rather lose their CEO than bring on black contractors, vendors, and have a conversation with 5 black people representing a grassroots movement. That should tell you what's behind it. All right, dear brother, thoughts here.
Yeah, I mean, the word that comes to mind is clever. I think this is beautiful to see because the CEO, I think, was trying to be clever. And I think Target is trying to be clever. As they're saying, they're just moving pieces around. It lacks any kind of substance. And I think ultimately this is an issue about branding, not just branding with Target, but also the branding that the GOP has used, where they've used this word woke as a bludgeoning tool to snuff out actually incredibly important initiatives. If it wasn't DEI, it would be critical race theory or affirmative action or any other thing that they sort of also move around in order to appease their base. And that too is just branding. It is a kind of propaganda, and it's wonderful to see this kind of come home to roost for them because it is hopefully hitting them where it actually hurts. You can either vote in the voting booth or you can vote with your dollar. And when you start seeing companies like this suffer, I hope it continues. And I hope the boycotts continue until, as you're saying, they actually sit down and get something substantive done. But I don't trust them to do that because, as you're saying, I think they're just concerned about their yachts and they're concerned about making sure their bottom lines are what they need to be. And with kissing the ring of this administration, which we're not just seeing in terms of massive corporations, we're also seeing it in universities and all over the country and all over the world. And so finding people who are actually sticking up for what's right is becoming increasingly rare, but I also think it's becoming increasingly effective. And that does give me a little bit of hope.
And very well said. When you look at what's happening to the landscape of America, it's not all politics. Some of it is politically influenced, but no one passed a law that told Target they could no longer have diversity, equity, and inclusion as part of their matrix. They decided to voluntarily do it after making promises to the Black community, $2 billion pledges, et cetera. So if the companies, and I want you to talk about this as well, if the companies that have, and we talk about colleges too, they got all the money, they have millions to defend their position. They can take the administration to court, or they can defend themselves if the administration takes them to court. But they choose to voluntarily not even post a damn social media protest against what they said was a bright and beautiful union inside of corporate responsibility to have diversity. What say you to that?
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I hope it continues to happen. I think that I always get suspicious too when it comes to anything that these corporations are doing, even when it's positive. I think that there is a skepticism that is just, and I think there's a really good argument to be made that it's always bad. However, when they are brazenly going in the opposite direction and just so flat out and transparently trying to do whatever this current administration wants, it becomes so increasingly obvious that people are going to go away. They're going to walk away from them, and they should.
That's right. Walk away. And sometimes you got to stay away. That's just how it is. Dear brother, thank you for all that you do. We appreciate you very much. Tell people how they can follow you. Check out your great work.
Oh, I make videos over at Rebel HQ. You can also check me out at Substack, substack.com/Elliot Morgan with 2 L's and 2 T's. And thank you for having me again.
Thank you for being here. Till next week. All right. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.